Hi everyone, I've tried filming this video like 35,000 times. I can't film it without getting emotional. Hold on. I think if I don't film this emotional, I will not be able to film this, so I'm just gonna keep going. I just wanna say thank you so much. I'm so happy to be alive. And I'm so grateful for all of you guys. Like, I've never experienced so much love and support, and just, it's been so incredible, and thank you so much. This is just gonna be a very strangely recorded video. This is the first video I'm recording back from what I am calling a nightmare and miracle all in one. So a couple things I wanted to address in this video are literally what happened, because this was like so dramatic and so sudden. First of all, I don't have a cannula on, which is crazy. About 6 weeks ago, I took my meds as usual in the morning. My pulse shot up to 175, and I was like, what is going on? 3 hours later, it was still at 175. I basically couldn't breathe. My heart did calm down, but I started suffocating. And then I went into cardiac arrest, which I was not aware of until I woke up 4 days later. I was in a coma. I'm just gonna be like an emotional wreck this entire video. I woke up and had no idea what had happened. I thought I had just left my house, and it turns out I'd been in the hospital for 4 days. And they didn't know if I'd wake up, and I had a breathing tube in, and I did wake up, thank God. At this point, I was at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. I was attached to this enormous machine, which I later discovered was called ECMO, which is life support. If I could disconnect from ECMO and walk and kind of get back to myself, then I could have severe PH and then go home and try to recover. But if I couldn't disconnect from ECMO, it would either be the end for me, or transplant could be an option. I couldn't move. I was connected to this machine. My legs were just dripping blood. All over here, there were holes everywhere, and just everything was so uncomfortable and so painful. I ended up being transferred from Cedars to UCLA. And then I ended up with the world's most unbelievable doctor, Dr. Ardahali. Here come the emotions again. I'm emotional because this man clearly saved my life and is a truly wonderful man. Here it goes. Okay, where was I? So then I end up at UCLA, and I'm still connected to ECMO, which they put in a crazy way because they had to put it in as an emergency. So now I'm dealing with a lot of repercussions. My legs are numb. I feel only nerves basically in my legs. They're very uncomfortable and can't feel my toes, can't feel my lady parts. I was getting worse and worse on ECMO because even though ECMO technically saves you, it slowly kills you. The doctors didn't know if I could withstand ECMO for much longer. I just felt so terrible, so terrible. It was like the most miraculous thing. I have been scared of the idea of a transplant for so long because of rejection and life expectancy and all that comes with it. I've heard amazing stories of people who've had transplants, lung transplants, but also like nightmare stories. At this point, the idea was you die or you have a lung transplant. All of a sudden, when faced with death, I started to see a lung transplant as a completely different thing, and it just became this saving grace. It went from being the scariest thing on earth to exciting, and also it became a huge privilege because I realized, like, wow, like I have the opportunity to actually feel well again, and that's all I wanted when I was in the hospital. I was like, all I want from life is just to feel well, to go home, to breathe, and to feel well. That's it. If that's all I ever do with my life, I'm good. Like, that's what I was thinking, of course, in the hospital. Now that I'm home, I'm like, I want to do everything. On August 5th, I was literally saved. Right on time, because nobody thought that I could push through much longer. The lungs that I got were not perfect lungs. They were called good lungs. They were good enough. I love my lungs, so I think that they're amazing and they're great, but the donor obviously had been suffering from something, so they gave me lungs that were imperfect. The worst night of my life was when I had to be intubated, but this time I had to be intubated and I was wide awake for 12 hours. That night has caused, I can't even talk about it. Hold on. Because my blood pressure dropped, I was given adrenaline instead of sedation. So I was like wide awake, seeing monsters and demons everywhere and choking for 12 hours. That was the worst night of my life, far worse than the transplant, the operation, everything, which actually made everything else much easier because nothing compared to that night. So I was in the ICU for the majority of my stay at the hospital, and I started singing again to try to build up my lung capacity. I would play my guitar, play a couple notes, and then like try to hold a note, and I was like, oh my God, this is not good. So I have a lot of work to do with regard to singing. I have a long way to go with regard to everything. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? I can't get this to stop. This whole thing is so confusing because it was so quick and I had no idea this was gonna happen, and I literally went from like about to record a video and do an interview for Super Brave Kids, but instead of that I ended up in the ER and then ended up dying 3 times and then ended up having a lung transplant. Like the whole thing is so crazy, and now I'm sitting here with no oxygen. I can breathe. I am so beyond grateful. They did finally a biopsy on my lungs and we found out what I had, which is PVOD along with PH. Years ago, they suspected PVOD, which is like much more severe than pulmonary hypertension, and we can't believe I was alive for 12 years with PVOD, but anyway, I was, thank you God. Anyway, I just wanted to say that before I forget. Like, there are these 2 worlds now, there's pulmonary hypertension and transplant, and I was like, how am I gonna tie these together? Because for the rest of my life, I will be tied in to pulmonary hypertension. I will be on a mission to bring awareness to PH. And I was like, how do I do that? And how do I kind of link the two? And I always performed, for those of you who know me, with Steve Martin, my tank, my oxygen tank. His name is Steve Martin. And obviously I've always been connected to Steve because I needed him to breathe. And now that I don't need him to breathe, Steve will be on stage with me at every single performance, every time I speak, every time I do anything, every time I do an interview for Super Brave Kids, he'll always be beside me, but now I won't be connected to him anymore. And what that'll allow me to do is talk to people about PH and about why I have this tank named Steve Martin beside me, and then also talk to people about transplants and my experience. And obviously I don't even have an experience because this literally just happened, so I don't know what my experience is, but I know so far that it's been so scary and so miraculous that I don't even know what to make of it. And I would show you my scars, but then I would be banned from YouTube.
The most pleasurable food ordering experience.
I didn't know how to start this video, now I don't know how to end it. Now I'm stuck, okay? I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just so happy to be alive right now. That's the story. So I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you're staying safe. And I just wanna thank you so much for all the love again that you've shown me during this most difficult time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.